Hey YouTube, Ed here from Jack of All Trades. So today what we're doing is we're gonna smoke some ribs. It is December 23rd, and a little tradition that I always do every Christmas is I always smoke ribs for Christmas Eve dinner for our local fire department. I live in a fairly large city, and we of course have fire departments all throughout the city, but our local department, Fire Station number 7, me and the neighborhood and I kind of get together and we all go in on the ribs, and then I smoke them up and then I bring them over for Christmas Eve dinner. So today I'm going to show you how I smoke my ribs. It's a really simple, easy recipe. As with any time you smoke something, it takes some time to actually do the smoking, but the recipe itself is extremely easy. So let's get started, and I'll show you how I do this, and we'll smoke up the firefighters' ribs. All right, so quite obviously we've got a cutting board. I've got some tin foil here. We've got the ribs themselves. I've got some seasonings. I got a bleach water solution so I can make sure I sanitize and sterilize everything really good. Some paper towels. A good sharp knife is incredibly important. And then I've got some cookie sheets, and then I just have one of my racks here from my smoker as a reference. So the first thing we obviously have to do is we have to take the ribs out of the package. I get my ribs from Costco. Costco makes or sells some really nice ribs. This particular package, this is 10 pounds of ribs. There's 3 full racks in here, so if I split these in half, there's going to be 6 half racks. There's 7 firefighters working the shift on Christmas Eve, so I'm probably going to do 3 full racks of ribs, and then I'll save a rack for myself for later on in life. But of course we have to prepare the ribs and get them ready. So I got my cutting board, I've got my knife, I've already sterilized everything. You can basically just open these up. And when I open my ribs, I try to open the package in such a way that the package makes a bit of a bowl. There's going to be some juices and stuff in here, and I don't want to make too big a mess. I understand that it's going to be a little bit of mess associated with it, but these are some really, really nice ribs. So set that over here. So there's our rack. Now if I take my smoker rack, I can get 2 to 3 half racks on each smoker rack, and I've got 4 smoker racks, so feasibly I can do no less than 8 half racks of ribs in my smoker at one time. Well, that's perfect. 7 firefighters, 7 half racks, plus a little extra in case you get a hungry one. I'm going to basically find the half. It's about right here. I'm going to cut this rack in half. And I'm going to do that with all of them. Just go right in between the bones. Just nice meaty ribs. These are baby backs, pork loin ribs. All right, we're going to put that last rib away, and I'm going to wrap that up for myself later. All right, so we've got our ribs all halved. You can use whatever seasoning you like. The 2 seasonings I generally go with are Famous Dave's Rib Rub. It's a really good rib rub. I don't know of too many people that don't like Famous Dave ribs, but this is a really good rib rub. And then there's a local company here called CJ's. They make CJ's all-terrain seasoning. This stuff is great. You can put this on eggs, steaks, chicken, obviously ribs. This is a great seasoning. It's made here locally in North Dakota. We buy it in the grocery store, and it's just a really good rub. And I'm going to use both today. What the heck? So I'm going to get all these ready and laid out. So what I'm going to do is, I take the seasoning and I sprinkle a really liberal amount of seasoning on here. Try and cover everything as much as you can. Now remember, you are dealing with pork here, so keep conscious to keep these things cold. We don't want anybody getting food poisoning. So I sprinkle a good liberal amount on there. And this is called a rub for a reason. Rub this stuff in, get it worked into the meat. And just really season it up nice. And then I flip them all over. And season the backside. Don't be too light on the seasoning. It soaks in really good. Rub it around. Okay. And once you got them all seasoned up and rubbed up, a little light right there. Let's put a little more on there. What the heck? Flip that over. A little light on this one too. Who doesn't like ribs, huh? So I'm going to do 5 with the CJs, and then I'm going to do 5 with the Famous Dave's. Okay, so once I've got all the ribs rubbed down, we go ahead and just stack them on a cookie sheet. And then we're going to cover these things with tin foil, and we're going to put them in the fridge for the night. Tomorrow when they come out of the fridge, they'll have sat for, not quite 24 hours, but they've had a good time to soak up that rub. And then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll put these things in the smoker. I have to deliver these to the fire station by 4 o'clock. And get it to the guys so they can get the rest of their meals prepared. But yeah, tomorrow we'll start smoking them up. Well, it's the next day. The ribs have been in the fridge all night with the dry rub on them, and so now we're getting ready to put them in the smoker to smoke them up. So let's just get right into it. We'll go over some of the things you're going to need to get this part of it done, and then let's get these things in the smoker. All right, the first thing I've got is I've got my smoker. Now, before anybody says you've got a smoker indoors in your shop, yes, I know, but I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and it's -8 on Christmas Eve. So, one, I'm a pansy and I don't want to be outside smoking ribs in -8 degrees. And 2, it'd be really hard for the smoker to keep up with that kind of a cold temperature. It is an insulated smoker. It's a Masterbuilt, but it's an electric one. It's not gas, and it would have a hard time maintaining temperature. So I've got a fire extinguisher on standby. I'm out in my shop, which is a building that's separated from the main house, and I'm doing everything as safe as I possibly can. But I do know you're not supposed to smoke or use a smoker indoors. It's supposed to be an outdoor implement. My cord is ground fault interrupted. We're all good. So I'm being as safe as I possibly can. And I've got an exhaust fan there on the wall to help me exhaust out any of the excessive smoking. So at any rate, I've got my smoker heating up. First and foremost, I heat my smoker to 220 degrees, and that's what I do my smoking at least for this recipe. And that's where I bake these things. I not only smoke them in the smoker, but I also bake them in the smoker to finish them off. So there we are. First thing you're going to need is a smoker, and my smoker is heating up as we speak. Next thing you're going to need is you're going to need all your stuff, all your fixins. So I'm going to use hickory chips here today. These chips are designed for electric smokers. They're cut a little finer. They're not the big chunky pieces like you typically would see in like the charcoal or the gas-fired smokers. Specifically made for electric smokers. Since I'm using an electric smoker, that's the chips I'm going to use today. I also have been known to use apple chips when smoking ribs, and that works out really, really well as well. My smoker comes with a fluid pan or a liquid pan, and I hope yours does too, because that's part of the recipe. We need to put fluid in this pan, and what that fluid is apple cider vinegar. So we pour about half full of this fluid pan full of apple cider vinegar, and we put it in the smoker while we're smoking. So we're going to need that. You're going to need some barbecue sauce. Now, I'm not using Sweet Baby Ray's to endorse them. Sweet Baby Ray's isn't paying me. Sweet Baby Ray's is just something that everybody I know likes. Nobody doesn't like Sweet Baby Ray's. It's a pretty normal, mild, garden variety, very good tasting barbecue sauce. And I've never heard anybody say, ew, I don't like Sweet Baby Ray's. So that's what I'm going with. And I'm way too lazy to mix up my own barbecue sauce. And quite frankly, I don't have a good recipe. So if somebody's got a great barbecue sauce recipe, let me know. I would love to hear it. I am all ears. Some kind of a tin. Now, like I said, these ribs are going to go to the firefighters in my local fire station. So I need some way to transport them that isn't my wife's cookware. So disposable tinfoil tins. That's what they're going to go to the firemen in. You're going to need a set of tongs to take the ribs in and out of the smoker. You might need a knife, but always have one with. And you are going to need heavy duty tinfoil, and I stress heavy duty. The thin, ultra thin crap that you can get that you use to wrap around your sandwich when you take it to lunch in the morning, that's not going to cut it. You need heavy duty tinfoil, and there is a difference. Go to the grocery store, buy both, and feel them. You can feel the difference, quite literally. And of course, you're going to need the racks for your smoker, and quite obviously, the ribs. Now, these things have been sitting in my fridge all night, and I'm here to tell you, it smells like heaven on earth in my shop right now. It's lovely. I just love the smell of this. Now, everything's been wiped down, sanitized with a bleach water solution, so I'm not going to get anybody sick. Please take care. You are working with pork. Pork does have a tendency to carry some germs with it, but as long as you use the proper precautions, keep it to the proper temperatures, things to that effect, and make sure you sanitize your workspace, you shouldn't have any problems. So let's get right into it. I'm going to unwrap this first package of ribs. So what I like to do is I like to get all the ribs on the racks right away. That way I'm not fiddle-farting around with trying to load racks and get them in the smoker. That way, the way it works then, all my ribs go in the smoker at the same time. So I'm going to unwrap both pans. Set those out of the way. I'm going to just get rid of this tin foil. So I'm going to take my first smoker rack, and I'm going to quite simply just take and place the ribs on the racks. Fairly evenly spaced apart. If you can get away without them touching, that is always the best, but sometimes you can't get away with it. I've got 10 half racks of ribs going on here, so I don't think I'm going to be able to get away with none of them touching. I'm going to have to stack them just a little bit, but you just want to keep them as not touched as possible. So these two are huge. I'm not going to be able to get another one on there. These two are really large as well, so I'm just going to put two on there. And then on my last rack, I'll get the three. These are slightly skinnier pieces, so we should be able to get them on here just fine. There we go. So now we've got all our ribs on our racks, and they are ready to go in the smoker. So now we got all our ribs, they're ready to go in. My smoker is up to temperature. We'll set that aside. We don't need the Sweet Baby Ray's just yet. So I've got my liquid pan here, and I got just your garden variety apple cider vinegar. Pour that in the pan. I would not recommend pouring this into your pan if your pan has been sitting in the smoker, because it'll get hot and it'll just flash steam on you until it cools off, and it could foosh up in your face just a little bit. And it's not a big deal, but I'm here to tell you, and this is important for when you take or when you open the door on your smoker. This apple cider vinegar will fill the smoker with this vinegar smell, the cider vinegar smell. And when you open that door, and if it woofs up into your face, it will take your breath away. It is extremely strong when it comes out of the smoker. It infuses the meat very nicely, but it is really, really strong in a steam form. So when you open your smoker door, make sure you stand back so you don't get a big face full of this stuff. It smells great from a distance. Doesn't smell so good when it's in your face at 100% strength. So just be forewarned about that. All right, so now my smoker's up to temperature. Let's start putting some ribs in. Okay, so my smoker's up to temp and we're ready to go. So we're gonna load this thing up and start putting in some ribs. The first thing I'm gonna put in is the liquid pan for the apple cider vinegar. Because on mine it goes right on the bottom, and yours probably would too, if you have one. This is important. This puts a lot of moisture back into the ribs and it gives a lot of flavor. Now I'm going to just put the ribs on the racks, just like you would everywhere else. Now part of this process is understanding your smoker. Now I know my smoker's got a hot spot, and that hot spot would be the bottom rack. So as a result, I know that in a little bit of time, I'm gonna have to take this bottom one and move it to the top, or I'm gonna overcook the bottom ribs. So it's really important that you understand your smoker and use it a few times. And I gotta say, and this isn't me blowing my own horn, but the first time I tried this recipe, it worked out right away. So I didn't have any learning curve, and I've just been mimicking the process ever since. I haven't changed a thing. So I've got all my ribs. Oh my goodness, isn't that beautiful? That is a lovely thing. I've got all my ribs in my smoker. I'm closing it back up again. And now I gotta add the wood chips. Now this smoker has got a really neat feature, which is I can take and I can load my wood chips into this wood chip loader. And it goes right in the side here. And then what you do is once you get it in here, you give it a turn, and it dumps all the wood chips into the wood chip pan. Give it a little tap, and there we go. Now we're loaded up. Now I keep my vent pretty closed. I'm the kind of guy who really likes a lot of smoky flavor, so I keep my vent very closed up, so that as much smoke as possible gets infused into the meat. If you don't like that smoky of a flavor, you have to play with your vents. I keep mine closed up. Since I had the door open and I was loading, it's now heating again. So right now the wood chips inside the smoker are starting to burn a little bit, and they're starting to smoke as this thing is heating back up again. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to let this go for about 2 hours. So I'm going to set my timer on here's my timer. My timer on my phone for 2 hours. Start. That goes in my back pocket. So now, 2 hours later, I'll come out and we'll take care of the next process. All right, it's been about 2 hours. Remember what I told you about the apple cider vinegar? Keep your face away, and woof, there we go. How lovely is that? Ribs are ready, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna wrap them up. All right, so what you do, you get the ribs out. You gotta double wrap these in heavy duty tin foil. So we'll take off one of the rib racks. We'll put it on a piece of tin foil. And I wrap it up like this. And then like this. Kind of make a little envelope for it. Pinch them together and then roll it over. And then do it again. Double wrap these. This is important because it keeps all that moisture inside. So we need to wrap all the half racks, double wrapped in tin foil, just like that. So we've got them all wrapped, and now it's just a matter of, they're all double wrapped, it's just a matter of putting them back in the smoker. Okay, so now it's, you don't have to add any more wood chips or anything because these things are they're all double wrapped. So there's no more smoking going on. Now we're just baking them. So we put them all back in the smoker again. All of which are double wrapped in tin foil. And then we just close the door, and then we let them go at the same temperature, 220 degrees, for about another 2 hours. So we'll come back in 2 hours, and they should be all ready for the final step. All right, it's been 2 hours. Now it's time for the final step, so we have to go ahead and we have to unwrap all of the ribs. Oh man, those look really good. So you can see in the bottom of the tin foil all the juices that stayed in here, which is just pure awesome. So we've got to go ahead and we've got to do that with all of them. We got to unwrap every one of them. And once we get them all unwrapped, then we got to slather them down with barbecue sauce. Oh, how lovely. God dang it, those are good. Not quite fall off the bone, but still they'll be extremely tender. I personally don't like fall off the bone ribs. So if you want fall off the bone ribs, you need to turn your temperature down and cook them a little longer at a lower temperature, like maybe right around 200. But I personally don't appreciate fall off the bone ribs. Some people do, and that's fine. You can like them like that. This is just the way I prefer them, is to be not quite fall apart. So now we're going to get the rest of them. We're going to go ahead and unwrap everything. All right, so there we go. We got all the ribs unwrapped. Now it's time for the final step. All right, I take a couple of ribs, grab your bottle of barbecue sauce, whatever brand it is that you like. Put a pretty generous amount of barbecue sauce on. And just slather them up with a good generous amount of barbecue sauce. Now remember, this is all to taste. So if you like a lot of barbecue sauce, you can always put more on, or if you don't like it quite so tangy and barbecue saucy, you can leave a little extra off. It's really all to taste for you guys. I like a pretty fair bit of barbecue sauce, so we're gonna slather them up pretty good. Put one more on there. Just like that. Now again, I want to stress that in between each of these steps, I re-sanitize and I re-sterilize everything with a light bleach water solution just to make sure that we're keeping everybody healthy and safe. Again, I will say these are pork ribs, and I don't have to tell you to be careful with pork. So we go ahead and we'll do this with all 10 of these half racks of ribs. So we've got the last two here. So we'll finish slathering these last two. So once we get these last ones good and covered with a generous amount of barbecue sauce, then they go back into the smoker and they get finished off for another 35 to 45 minutes. They're cooked. They're cooked all the way through. They're done. I mean, you could eat them right now and it would be just fine. But I like to bake the barbecue sauce just a little bit. You know, get them basically finished off with a good coating of barbecue sauce, and then you get a nice barbecue sauce glaze on across the top of them. So now these will all go back in the smoker for another 35 to 45 minutes. And they'll get finished off. So let's relocate the camera and let's get these back in the smoker. So now it's just a matter of putting these back in. And finishing them off. So I like finishing them off in the smoker. The way I see it, I've already got the smoker dirtied up. I might as well just keep using it as long as it's hot already and we're already there. No sense in firing up the oven. So now, while I'm doing this, let's talk a little bit. Now, if you don't have a smoker, and a lot of people don't, you can do this same process in your conventional oven. The same kind of a process. Put some kind of a liquid pan in the bottom. On the bottom rack, you can put your ribs in a conventional oven. Cook them the same way. 2 hours at 220 degrees to start getting them cooked. Then you can wrap them, and you can cook them for another 2 hours all wrapped up. And then you can barbecue sauce them and finishing them off. You're just not going to get the smoke flavor. But this will work in a conventional oven. So now we'll set my timer on my phone once again, and we'll come back in 35 minutes and finish it off. It's now 20 minutes after 3. Which means about 5 minutes to 4 they'll be done. We'll come back, we'll take them out, we'll put them in the tins, and then we'll deliver them to the fire station. And our local fire department here will have ribs for supper on Christmas Eve night. So we'll see you guys back here in about 35 minutes. All right, it's been 35 minutes. Whew. Oh, what a lovely thing that is. Those ribs are ready. Kill the power. Let's get these over to the table and let's get them packaged up and ready to take. Oh, absolutely lovely. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Best racks of ribs I've made yet. Oh man, these are going to be fantastic. Well, there it is, folks. Smoked, barbecued baby back ribs. Fit for a Christmas Eve dinner for our finest firefighters in the fair city of Fargo, North Dakota. I figure these people work Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, 4th of July, every holiday imaginable. They deserve some kind of a special meal for doing what they do. My only regret is that I can't do it for more. We have a lot of people out there in this country that do jobs that not all of us would want to or can do. Our fine men and women in the military, our police force. I really wish I could do more, but it's just not feasible, and it really kind of upsets me that I can't do more. So I would challenge you guys out there in YouTube land, next time a holiday comes around, take some time, do something special, get together with your neighborhood. That's what we do here in our neighborhood. All the neighbors kind of kick in and help pay for the ribs and help cover the costs of providing these for our firefighters. Like I said, my only regret is that I can't do it for more. So there we are. It's all ready and set to go. I'm going to get these wrapped up and I'm going to jump in the truck. It's about 4 o'clock. It'll take me about 10 minutes to get to the fire station and deliver these. And hopefully they enjoy them. Please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll get a notification every time I put up a new video. I'm just going to, like I said before, I just do random videos of things I do around the house. I'm not specialized in one particular area. Just every time I do a little project, I'm going to video it and I'm going to put it out there, and maybe it'll help some people out who need to be able to do some things around the house. All right, so we got the ribs in the back seat, and we are heading over to the fire station to drop them off for the firemen. And just called them, and I talked to one of the guys on duty. They said they're going to be watching for us. So we're going to do a little Christmas Eve ribs for the firemen of the Fargo Fire Department in our local neighborhood. So I want to just say thanks for watching the video, and hope this helps some of you out with your rib recipes. And just remember that these firefighters and police officers and all the men and women in our military who are working for your benefit on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day away from their families, I challenge everybody out there in YouTube world to remember that next holiday season and maybe do something nice for your local fire department and your local firefighters, or your local police department, or any other emergency services that you know are working on these holiday days. So here we're coming up right now to the fire station. There they are. They're waiting for us. Look at that. All right, well, we're gonna get these ribs delivered so these guys can eat, and we will catch you guys later. Have a good one, and I appreciate you watching. Hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next video.